Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we radiate compassion with my friend Angela Watson. It's so good to have you with me here. And I know you're not even in Kansas City right now, so we're doing this on Zoom. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, Christy. Thanks so much for having me today, and I'm glad we could finally make this happen. Between our schedules and everything, it's nice to be able to finally have this work out. So it's wonderful to be here talking about compassion today.
Oh yeah. Now, we're going to be talking about your website and your business and everything. But you and I are personal friends. Our daughters are friends. Our daughters went to school together, and you have a story behind your business that I didn't know, and you've had a lot of upheaval over the past couple of years. It's been intense.
It has been.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a bit about your story?
Sure. About 4 years ago, on Father's Day, actually, in 2017, my sister and her husband died unexpectedly. And they left 4 boys who were living at home. And my sister's husband's family, it's from Honduras. His mother speaks Spanish, and he has 2 sisters that don't live in town. And so the whole process of losing them, and then sort of the fallout and things that happen after a loss like that, take years and years to get through. I sort of, because I was the person in town, had to sort of pick up and take care of estates and kids and all those things that come with it, and parents that are grieving. And that when you're busy like that, and you don't really have time to do a lot of grieving, you sort of push that off and think that, you have to be the person here to do those things and pick up the pieces and make everything work. And sometimes that delays your own grief and where you are. And, so slowly through that process, I was able to grieve a little bit. And then, the pandemic hit recently, in the last year and a half. And it made me think a lot about my own grief process when people weren't being able to go to funerals. You couldn't be with people, their loved ones, when they were even passing. And it made me think a lot about my own grief, how we comfort people that are in grief from bereavement, and to think about the things that helped me through that process, and what we could maybe do better. And so that's really what helped me to start, or what really inspired me to start my business, is to try and think about how we comfort people who are really going through a difficult time, which is really what compassion is. Compassion is that feeling where you recognize someone else's suffering and you want to do something to either mitigate or alleviate or help to get, help them through that process. And so that's really what I've done with my business, is try to think about the things that helped me through my own grief, and to apply that sort of into a business that also used a model where we think about everything sort of through a lens of how can we do whatever it is we're doing while we do the most good, because I sort of feel like I'm doing this for my sister and myself. Right. I named my business Parting Gifts, right, because I feel like it was my sister's parting gift to me and mine to her. And so that
you and your sister were pretty close too.
We're very close. And this business really has, it really has been a gift in that helping people through their own grief process has helped me tremendously.
Oh, absolutely. Now, okay, so now we need to talk about what this business is. It's
Sure, absolutely. So,
beautiful and lovely, I have to say. I love your website. I love the
oh,
gifts.
thanks.
Just gorgeous. Yes. Tell us about
Thank you so much.
all of us
Well,
about it.
I guess we'll go back a few years. Whenever about the last 15 years, whenever somebody has passed away and I've had to go to a funeral, I've always brought with me an embroidered handkerchief with me, and I've given it to the person who's bereaved. And the reason I have is because I sort of feel like there are some moments in life that are not disposable moments. They sort of hold more gravity, and we should be able to cherish those memories. And I've always given those handkerchiefs, and I've said, some tears are meant to keep. And afterwards, people have sent me the most beautiful letters and said, I would have never thought to bring a handkerchief, but I was really touched by that, and thank you so much. And so when my sister passed away, my very good friend whose funeral I brought, her father's funeral, I brought a handkerchief to, brought one to me, and she said the same thing. And I've actually still have that handkerchief. I carry it with me all the time, and it makes me feel like, in some way, my sister is, still with me. When I think about her and need her, it's in my pocket. And so, anyway, when I was thinking about the pandemic and how we grieve and what we could do differently that might be more meaningful or significant to people, and I think there's a place for flowers and plants and wind chimes and all those beautiful things. But I wanted to do something that was just a little bit different. So I thought, well, what if I could have these handkerchiefs made, and I could put them in something that would not only hold the handkerchief, maybe from the funeral, but some memories or tokens or, something significant from the person's life that you want to put in a box or something. So I had these handkerchiefs made in a wooden box that I call a memory box. It's got a dandelion engraved on the lid of the box, and the handkerchiefs have a dandelion as well. And there's some significant symbology to dandelions, which is why they're on there. And so we came up with this dandelion memory box, and we either sell them as just a handkerchief set or the memory box set, and it comes with a sympathy card and sort of everything that you need to give a really meaningful and thoughtful sympathy gift. Mm-hmm. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of people don't know what to say when somebody passes away, and so I really wanted to make something that speaks for you. It's sort of what to give when you don't know what to say.
It's absolutely lovely. One of the Radiate Wellness team had someone, close family member, pass this summer, and we all collectively gave one of these as a gift. It was very well received. She appreciated it. And, as we all just kind of touched this and touched the handkerchief and the box and all of the cards that came with it, it was just such a beautiful, beautiful gift. Hefty. There's a nice weight to it. And it's just, the quality is wonderful. But you've got an interesting story behind how these things are made and assembled that I think has to be told.
Oh, thanks. Going back to this sort of, we approach everything by trying to do the most good. Right. Is that I've tried to think about this as, if I'm going to make something, I want to make it and do good at the same time. If I'm going to assemble something, I want to assemble that in the most, thoughtful way, doing the most good that we can do, and selling those things. What can we give back to people? So our handkerchiefs are actually made in Vietnam. They're embroidered by an entire village of women who, I'm just delighted by it. They can work either from home, or they work in a collective, and they bring their children to work. And I didn't know how these were actually made when I started this process, but they're actually a long, long bolt of fabric. And all of the dandelion prints are stamped on that fabric. And then the women sit in a circle with their embroidery hoops, and they embroider one at a time, each dandelion on each handkerchief. And then as they all finish, they sort of shift and go to the next one. And, I have photos of, the babies laying on the handkerchiefs and the kids playing around. And it's just so beautiful to me that these are touched and, handled with so much love. And the work, of course, it gives people meaningful work. It helps them be able to take care of their families in whatever way they choose. And so I'm just delighted by that. And then we use vocational services in Kansas City for our assembly and shrink wrapping and that sort of thing. And for those people who aren't familiar with vocational services, they hire people with mental and physical disabilities to do the work there. Growing up, I had an Uncle Ed. He actually passed away this last year of COVID. But when I was growing up, my Uncle Ed, who is 10 years older than me, worked at a vocational services sheltered workshop. And it was the best part of his day. He would go in there and he had friends and he had a girlfriend and he just loved it. And so when we were thinking about how we were going to, have our services, our things shrink wrapped and assembled, we found a vocational services place in North Kansas City. And I just love going in there. The people that work there are so full of joy and they want to give you hugs and they can't right now because of COVID, which is frustrating for them and you. And they want to know when you're coming back. And I find as much joy going there to pick up my products or talk to them as my Uncle Ed did when he went to work there. So we really are trying to do good things in every phase along the way. So when we have our things made and shrink wrapped, we're trying to give good jobs. When people purchase a gift, they're giving a beautiful, thoughtful, compassionate gift to somebody. And at the end of the process, we give back to charities. So we're working with veterans charities and LGBTQ charities and things that empower women and children. And then also we're working with addiction services, which I think is important because of, my sister's story.
Well, tell more about that.
Well, my sister and her husband passed away, and not everybody knows this, or not very many people know this, but they passed away from an accidental overdose. Right. My sister had lupus and some health problems, and years ago was prescribed opiates and became addicted to those at one point. And we don't talk about this sort of thing because there's a lot of shame. Really, to be honest, surrounding a death like this. And, people don't know how to address it. I still, don't know how exactly to address that. But I do know that my sister was a really wonderful person who raised 4 of her own boys and was raising somebody else's child and who had some addiction problems and passed away. Because people have, and we all have sort of issues in our lives, whatever they are, whether we live with them day to day or they ultimately kill us. That doesn't make them any less of good people or that sort of thing. But
someone's sister, someone's daughter,
yeah, absolutely.
Friend.
And, there was a tremendous void in all of our collective lives. She was the most magnificent person. She just talk about Radiate Wellness. She was sort of this dual person. She had this big, wonderful, vibrant personality, and people just loved her and gravitated towards her. But she had another side where she was an empath, and she felt deeply other people's pain and carried a lot of that with her. And I think did not know how to address that. And I think sometimes that's what happens to people that have these addictions. They find that opiates or whatever it is takes not away the physical pain, but it also starts to helps to numb that emotional pain that they have and they carry. And I think that's really what she used those things for more than regular physical pain in the end, was to help get over that emotional pain of losses she had, her own losses of her best friend.
Oh my goodness. I know that the past several years have been marked by just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And it's been, I know it's been really hard. And I do applaud your strength for picking yourself up and creating something not just good, but beneficial. to so many people. I mean, and I have to say, you're not tooting your own horn, but you're paying a living wage to these
Yes.
women in Vietnam.
Right. Absolutely. We are, I'm not in the business of course, everybody wants to make a profit and stay in business that's in business. But my real impetus for this is to do good and to help people along the way. I sort of feel like I'm doing this for myself and my sister. She had a lot of living left to do. And so I feel a bit of responsibility to do that for her. And she helped many, 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 countless people throughout her life that had the most wonderful things to say about her when she passed. And I sort of feel like I'm taking up a little bit of that mantle with this business. And it's been a tremendous help for me personally to help me get through my own grief. My parents are, they suffered so much after her death, and they come into the warehouse every day, even when I'm not there. And every one of these boxes they take out of the packaging, they polish them by hand, they look at them. So not only are these, the handkerchiefs, made by this lovely group of women in Vietnam, these boxes my parents polished them all. It's so beautiful and wonderful. And I get to spend time with them that I haven't had for years, because I was raising my sister's 2 kids and my own 2 kids. And, life gets busy, and it just, you don't have the time that you used to have. And so I get to see them in a way that I, hadn't for a long time. And it's just been such a gift.
That's, I mean, how many times we sat at basketball games and soccer games and kids' events and talked and chatted. I knew so much of this, but every time I talk to you, Angela, I find out a new layer of loveliness.
Oh,
in
thank
this
you.
project. I'm getting kind of reclamped here. And, to know that your parents lovingly touch and polish each and every box, they're gorgeous boxes.
Thank you.
Everyone's participating in this healing.
They are. I sort of think of myself and my life, and I don't know, maybe other people do this as well, but I sort of think of myself as like a sun catcher or a prism, right? If you put a sun catcher in a window, it really doesn't do anything on its own. It's really when other people's light comes in that it takes that light and refracts it, and magnifies it, and it turns it into something beautiful. And so I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by so many people that have filled my life with light. And look, now I'm getting all choked up, but I get to be the person who turns that into something beautiful, which I'm ever so grateful for. I really am.
I know this takes a lot of resources, a lot of people hours, a lot of creativity, a lot of just grit and hard work to launch a business. You've been working on it for a while. It's just amazing. And I know you've got a really special story with how you know that your sister has.
Oh, I do.
Love this story.
I have. I've been working on this for a while. And again, I'm lucky to be surrounded by so many great friends that have helped me, given me ideas, filled me with light, and helped me magnify that into something greater. Actually, it's funny that I'm sitting here while we're talking about this, because right outside the window, for those of you who are watching, there's a bird feeder. I love to watch the birds here, because in Parsons, there's so many beautiful birds. But I was watching this show one day on Netflix, I think it was, and I think it's called Surviving Death. And it's really this series about, life after death, or, that sort of experiences. But one episode in particular struck me, and it was a woman out of the Netherlands, I believe, and she's a medium, and she was talking about, we don't really need a medium or somebody to talk to somebody who's passed on, that they're always there. What you need to do is ask for something specific or a sign, and really just sort of be patient and wait for that. And I thought, okay, Melissa, it's been 3 years, and I have, asked to, I've looked for a sign, I've waited for whatever. If you're really there, I said, I want to see a bluebird in winter because it was wintertime and there's no bluebirds here in the wintertime. And I thought, I want that specific, and that's what I want. And a couple of days passed and I didn't see anything. And I went home on my commute from Parsons to Kansas City, and is about 2.5 hours. And so on that drive, I was listening to a CD that my friend had sent me in the mail, my very best friend. And it was Howard Jones, live at Cyan, I think is what it was. And she knows that I love Howard Jones, and she sent me this CD, and I thought, well, who sends CDs anymore? People just, but she did. She sent me the CD, and so I put it in, and I'm listening to it, and then I hear the words just like this, that bluebird, I'm free. And I was stunned. So I rewound it, which I guess you can do with CDs, and you can't do with your other, when you're listening to the radio. So maybe that was the reason I got the CD. So anyway, I pushed rewind and or back or whatever it is, and I listened to the whole beginning of the song, and it was if my sister was in the room speaking to me, telling me exactly what happened. It said, it talked about, I was so high, my head whirled, and dropped my cell phone down the loop. My sister died in the bathroom, and and the song went on to say, I'm, look up here, I'm in heaven. I mean, it just, and then it said, just like that bluebird, I'm free. And it just kept going through that refrain. And when I looked back at the name of the song, it was called Lazarus, which again stopped me. And then to have that story just explained to me so clearly, like if she was just sitting in the room telling me. And then the very next song was his Howard Jones's song called New Song. And it says, I've been waiting for so long to come here now and sing this song.
Oh.
And it's like, she was just saying to me, I've been waiting for you. I've just been waiting for you to say, to ask. And here and so it filled me with the most tremendous peace. And I have to tell you, before this, I wasn't the most, sort of a spiritual person, but not, I've worked in science for a long time. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about those experiences, but if I had seen her in a vision, it wouldn't have been more clear. I'm absolutely convinced it was her. And I don't think there's anything anybody could do to tell me otherwise. And I also have to say, it filled me with the most tremendous peace. Most of us have some fear of death, I think, which is why we have such a hard time talking about grief and consoling people, because we don't know what to say. But I don't have that anymore. It's just like evaporated. I think it's Ram Dass who says we're all just walking each other home. Mm-hmm. And some of us make it home before other people do. But when you think about it, there's not really anything to fear about being at home.
There's not. And compassion literally means with passion.
Yes.
Passion being emotion, passion being strong emotion, with passion, compassion. And I actually pulled up those lyrics. It was a David Bowie song that I'm sure he covered.
Yeah, he wrote it right not long before he died, I think.
Right. It says, look up here, I'm in heaven. I've got scars that can't be seen. I've got drama, can't be stolen. Everybody knows me now. Look up here, man, I'm in danger. I've got nothing left to lose. I'm so high, it makes my brain whirl. Dropped my cell phone down below. Ain't that just like me? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just, I still get goosebumps when I hear those words. And then after that experience, I have to say, I just sort of, her name was Melissa Dawn, which meant honeybee to dark strangers, actually, which is interesting because her husband was from Honduras and he was a little darker. And so I just sort of see her. She's just so, a little bee I feel out in the world sometimes.
Did you know that Radiate Wellness is more than just a podcast? That's right.
We're also a comprehensive holistic wellness practice. Find out about our services, practitioners, and upcoming events at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. While you're there, visit our podcast page to read more about our great guests and even donate to the podcast. If you like our podcast, you can help in other ways as well, like subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening right now. Tell a friend, a family member, or a coworker about the great content you find here. And if you wouldn't mind, please give us a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, or a positive review. Sounds like a small thing, but it really helps. You might like to know about our Facebook communities while we're at it. We have a free community, the Radiate Wellness community, on Facebook for news and great free content. Our subscribers group is Radiate U, as in the letter U, but also, well, you. There you'll find curated replays of past classes, guest interviews, and more. And now, back to our podcast and back to our guest. Well, that is so true of our loved ones, and you're right. We don't need anything special. We don't need an intermediary to know that they're around. All we just have to do is think of them and pay attention. Pay attention to what's showing up.
I've come to feel that the space between here and there is infinitesimal. It's the same thing.
It is, yeah. I do believe that they are around us all the time, and just like X-rays or gamma rays or microwaves or infrared, is we can't see them with the equipment that we have. We need, for nighttime we need infrared or night vision goggles, but just don't have the perceptors to perceive them. And so,
yeah, I think so. But then once you finally get there, I think that you can start noticing. I developed a meditation practice as part of my grieving process and to get through. And I have to say, meditation will change your life. It has changed mine, and it helps me sort of transcend those waves of grief sometimes that come, and to get through those. But it also allows me to go back to those happy memories and relive them again, to see the moment and feel the moment and the joy or the sorrow or whatever it is. And, with grief, there's like so many things. There's no under, over, around. There's only through. And you can delay going through, and some people don't ever get through, but the cure for the pain is the pain. And we have to feel it. And when we do, though, and we get to the other side, then we can find something really beautiful in it. And that's what I found in this business, something really beautiful. We put on our website the ability for us to, somebody can put a message in the sympathy card or whatever, and we will put that in them for them and send the package out to whoever they're sending it to, somebody that they love. And I have to tell you, that is, of all the things, it's been the most tremendous gift. 5 years in therapy rolled up in reading the things that other people write to people when they're trying to be, compassionate and show how much they care. And I've read poetry I've never read, and it's just humanity at its best. All of the noise and the clutter of the politics and the this and that, it's all gone. It's just people comforting other people. And it's so beautiful to see. Really, it's such a gift. And a privilege to be able to be that person for other people that can help this. But I just feel so fortunate. I really do.
I think you really are. I have to say that you've created your own fortune. You've taken this energy, you've taken this grief, and you've decided to put it to use. And not everybody does that.
Well, it's taken some time, and it definitely has. And like I've said, so I'm so lucky to be surrounded by really amazing friends. I have a couple of groups of friends. I have a group of friends that are my friends from high school, that we, meet once every couple of months, and then another group of friends from the Navy. And the group of friends from high school are the group of friends that I've sort of talked about, that have like given me feedback on this box, or what they've done to get through their own grief, and they help me in one way. And that group is a really desperate group of friends. Like we don't have nearly as much in common as we used to. Some of us, politically are wildly on different sides, but we still find this common space. And then I have this group of friends that I was in the Navy with, or met through the Navy, and we're much more alike. And they are the ones who said, maybe you should think of a dandelion, and read about the symbology of the dandelion. Or my good friend gave me the name Parting Grief, or Parting Gifts. And so I have this theory about friends, or relationships in general, that we all need two kinds of people in our lives, either tuning forks or the yin to your yang, right? So your partner, or the people you have in your life, really need to be in two groups. And either you're tuning forks, and they're the people that vibrate at the same frequency as you do, and you're bigger and better and louder together, right? Because they get you, because they are you. Or they're the opposite of you, and you're better together because the other people have the things that you lack, and together you're sort of more of a whole. And my high school group is sort of the yin to my yang, and my Navy friends are my tuning forks, and they just get me. And I don't think either group could be both. You have to, you can't expect everybody to be everything to you. But if you have both of those groups of people in your life, then you're really fortunate. And, they just make your life richer in so many ways.
Yeah. I have to agree. You are very, very fortunate in that, and truly blessed. I want to circle back to something you mentioned, and that I was going to ask you about anyway, the symbology of the dandelion. So I know what it means to me.
Sure.
What does it mean for you?
Well, it's funny that you say that. I brought my little dandelion card here because I don't always remember, but the reason we put dandelions on the box is because dandelions are, they're rich in symbology. They've been used in bridal bouquets to give, as good luck to brides. And, most people, you think about wishing on a dandelion and blowing the seeds, because they're thought to bring your thoughts and affections to people that you love, even the people that have passed on. And of course, they also symbolize sort of the light, our passing of life. We start off with these yellow golden globes, and we turn into this big fluffy sort of ball, and then eventually our seeds blow off to the stars and become something else. And so they really symbolize what the transition of our human life from infancy through our passage to whatever else comes beyond this life. And then the thing that I love about dandelions, and some people probably hate, I think our yard person hates, is that, man, they're tough, right? A dandelion can grow in almost any soil. If it can find a crack, a dandelion can grow there. Mm-hmm. And that speaks to the resilience of human life, I think, right? Where, a dandelion is resilient, and we're all really resilient if we let ourselves be.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's beautiful symbology that, yes, we're young and vibrant, golden, and then we disperse out into the universe and create more like ourselves.
Right. Yeah. It just keeps, it's sort of this gift that gives back, And so when I walk by the dandelions in the yard now, I see them, the beauty in them,
They're beautiful.
And I always make a wish.
Well, and there's a reason why, they come out in the spring, is that, after a long winter, we need to kind of detoxify our bodies and get back in the swing of eating fresh foods and et cetera. And dandelion essence, enzymes are very beneficial for us,
Oh,
especially
yes.
during the springtime. So it's a really beneficial plant that we take for granted in some ways.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, I think that speaks to life, doesn't it? You know, we all, after a long winter,
yeah.
that's when new life comes, and grief is a lot like that. It's a winter of sorts. You know, it's a season in our life where we're going through something that's really hard, and we're being pruned back, you know, to our core. But then if you let yourself, you don't have to stay in that season. You know, if you let yourself transfer through it, the spring always comes. You know, it always comes back.
And grief it's a season. It's something that will come around. There's no end to it necessarily. There's times when it's present and times when it's less present. But it's something
Absolutely.
that you do.
I mean, it's like waves. I think I often think of it as like waves. You know, sometimes you're at the shore and the waves are high and they knock you down and they take you under. And other times they're just, you know, lightly lapping at your ankles, but they're there. And you know, coming back to the box, the dandelion box, I made the first one for my, you know, sister, and I have her things in that box. I've got her bright red lipstick and her rosary and, you know, other things of hers in there. And when I need to feel that and be there with her and commune with her, I don't have to go to the cemetery or you know, or anywhere else. I pull out the box and I look at her things and I speak to her in whatever way I do. And then it's a place for me to store that grief. You know, I don't have to carry it around all the time. I can put it back in the box and put it, you know, back on the shelf in my office. And I can commune with that when I need to. And that's what I think is so beautiful about that box. You know, it's coming back to the flowers and the other things that we give when somebody passes away. They're all meaningful and beautiful things. And I don't get me wrong, I love flowers. But when the flowers have faded and the casseroles stop coming, you know, the box is there and it's there for you to heal with. You know, you put whatever you want in it. And I also love that it's a sort of a gift for the people who give it as well. I have a good friend whom I love who gave one of these boxes to his sister-in-law. And for him, it was really more of a grieving process for him. He got to look through things that were memories of his brother and put things in that box and remember them and, you know, and memories. And then he gave it to his sister-in-law. So when you fill that box with pictures or a story about a memory that you have of someone you cherish or whatever, and you give that to someone else, you not only are giving the person who's grieving a gift, you're giving yourself the gift of thinking about those things and moving through that loss as well, which I think is especially beautiful.
Right, because whenever we do reminisce, when we go over the pictures and think about our loved ones and pull up these fond memories, they're right there. They're around us.
Oh, yeah.
Doing all of that just brings them up front, close and personal. I have
Right.
to say, the entire time you've been talking about that with your sister, she's been dancing around the back of you, making goofy faces.
Well, that sounds about right with Melissa.
She's been trying to distract you. But yeah, whenever we pull out the memories and the pictures and we reminisce, they can't miss a party. It just
Oh, yeah. That is exactly my sister. She was always the life of always the life of the party with her big red flowers in her hair. And, you know, she was just a stunning person.
Oh, wow. I can just see the love there. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And so if somebody wants to find out more about parting gifts, where do they find you?
Absolutely. They can find us at partinggiftsco.com or at awatson@partinggiftsco.com. We also have a Facebook page, which is Parting Gifts CO. Gosh, they can look us up on the internet. We're all around. So we'd be happy to get in touch with anybody that's interested.
Of course. And we'll put all those links in the show notes so they're
Thanks.
easy to find. Is there anything else that you think is important to mention that we haven't talked about or haven't brought up?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You could go on forever when you talk about, bereavement and grief and the things that people go through. I'm just happy to be part of the process that is hoping to bring, people comfort and peace in their time of grief. And we're certainly here for anybody that has questions or wants to reach out. But I'm so grateful for what you're doing in your work and the people that you have on your show. You had on Shelley Knight not long ago, who was wonderful and talked about grief, and loved what she had to say about how grief is not just about bereavement, which is when you lose a person, but it's about the process that you go through when you lose anything significant in your life. And to be honest, we've all gone through so much with the pandemic, and there have been so many losses on so many different levels, right? Kids didn't go to proms, and they've missed graduations, and we haven't spent time with loved ones. That it's okay to grieve. That's the other thing about our handkerchiefs. I did want to mention that. Sometimes you have to give people permission to grieve, and giving somebody a handkerchief, in my opinion, is saying, I'm okay with your discomfort. I can sit here and hold space with you. That's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do to learn how to just hold space with somebody, not feel like you have to solve a problem or fix anything, just to be there with someone. So I would like to say that, so many people don't say anything when somebody loses someone because they don't know what to say. I think the fact that you take the time to say anything at all, or to be there for someone, no matter, if you get right what you want to say or not, it speaks to the fact that you care. So don't be afraid to reach out, spend the time with someone, just be there. Just be there, because people say things like, call me if you need me or whatever. From experience, that person isn't going to call you. They just don't feel like they can. So just show up with a casserole and a shoulder, or go for a walk, or whatever it is. That's really all they need.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be on your podcast today, and I love the show and all of the great people that you have on it. So I'm really feel fortunate to be among them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.